This next story by Patrick Murphy I think is a little bit like St. Louis itself. It's about something that on the outside is not really all that flashy, but on the inside, way more than you expected.
I was always intrigued by what's in there. And when I first came in the building, when the previous owner let me in, there's nothing here. And I walked in and my first comment was, whoa, this is cool.
So cool that the architectural and engineering firm Cannon Design decided to take this old deserted powerhouse at Tucker and Clark and turn it into their Midwest headquarters.
It sat empty for at least 3 decades. The windows had been variously boarded up. The building was full of pigeons. You couldn't walk across this space without stepping on pigeon droppings. But because of the construction of the building, because of the masonry construction of the building, it was very easy to reuse in its current state. There have been a number of architects and developers over the years who I think have thought about redeveloping this property, but the building seemed to confound people for many years.
You walk into it and the first thing you really sense is the space. And we look at a lot of old buildings, we renovate buildings, and you see, you know what can be cleaned up, and you can see the basic integrity. You can tell by looking at a structure if it's sound or not, and that's the kind of thing you notice is just the space, and that's what all architects love, the final frontier.
The powerhouse was constructed in 1926, 3 years after voters passed the biggest municipal bond issue in the city's history, essentially creating a new downtown west of 12th Street. Over the next decade, the city razed dilapidated buildings, widened streets, and built a new courthouse, the Soldiers Memorial, a new municipal auditorium, and Memorial Plaza. The powerhouse generated steam for the new buildings. But taking the empty shell of a 1920s industrial space and converting it to a modern workplace posed special challenges.
The footprint of the building is quite small, so the challenge was how to add space to the building. And so we knew from the start we had to add additional floor plates to the building.
The new floor plates, set back from the large windows looking over Clark, would be attached to the original columns, creating a modern, flowing structure within the old space, letting in light and maximizing the feeling of openness, a process much like building a ship in a bottle.
The thing about it is that it's an industrial feeling space. I think you may have picked up kind of the fact that the outside walls are all untouched, the columns are untouched, and we wanted a certain contemporary look, meeting kind of the industrial, brawny, history of the building.
Right where we're standing were steam boilers. There was a rail car pulling up outside, dropping coal, and then conveyors brought the coal up and in through the top of the building and would dump them through the building and into the steam boilers. And then the ash would be taken out in the basement. There was little trolley cars that would take the ash out. So we very much wanted to not hide anything about the original use of the building or the structure of the volume, but we wanted to do something that was kind of acknowledged that old, but also made something very contemporary and very new and in that space, that kind of vibrating between those two spaces, you could really sense a history or some kind of legacy there. So what the design you're looking at here is meant to be almost like a sheet of paper, okay? It starts over in this corner and kind of breaks into bands and wraps to that corner. And that's all held away from the original shell of the building so that the light and the space can be read. If you will, if you just cut a piece of paper into pieces and let it flow. That's what we were trying to do with this design.
The huge arched windows allow light to play on the open spaces, altering the mood of the interior throughout the day with changes in the weather and the position of the sun. The idea is to connect designers with the city and each other, fostering a sense of freedom and enhancing creativity.
The light in this space was fantastic. And we wanted, because of the nice small floor plate, everyone gets access to light. So as a place to work, everyone has a window seat. And so that's very important in terms of how you how you live in a sustainable space. You're not spending more energy, and you also have great views, and you have good control of your environment. So that's important to us.
It is an exercise in sustainability in a city rich in architectural gems, integrating the new with the old, creating 21st century spaces within the structures that shape our urban landscape, looking toward the future with a respectful nod to the past.
Being an architect, I called it a post-industrial cathedral. And bringing life to something that had been dormant for so long, I think, is always does everyone's heart good, but also makes you feel like you brought a little piece, just a little piece of the city back. And everyone wanted it to come back. They just weren't sure how to do it. And we were fortunate enough to find a way to do it.